rising up angry in the sky, and there's a new voice crying, we're not afraid to die. Let the old world make believe it's blind and deaf and dumb, but nothing can change the shape of things to come.
Have you ever heard of a game called Bookworm Adventures? Of course you haven't. But I'm here to introduce you to the 2006 PopCap installment loosely based off of the online game Bookworm. It's about a worm who is just sitting peacefully in a big great library until its oracle has been abducted to great distances. And now he has to go on a long fictional journey to get her back. This is a game where you have to use strategy and knowledge of your vocabulary in order to achieve greatness. Now, I have played this game dozens of times before, so I should be able to explain everything you need to know about it. Now let's hop into the game. You are given a collection of letters that you can spell into any word you want. Okay. When spelled out a word and clicking submit, your hero will assault the bad guy in ways that depend on the word. When you defeat that bad guy, you move on to the next one, which you will also kill until eventually you will be led to the boss. Now, the health meter is a vital part of the game because if it drains to nothing, then you're dead. Like, gone. Forever. Nowhere to be found, having never experienced a relationship, and just on the realms of fish food heaven. Nah, just kidding. You just use your unlimited resurrection coupons and come back to life. However, you can't die on the first chapter. Believe me, I tried. So you just go on to the end of the level where you will be awarded your first treasure. So with the Bow of Zix, you will be given extra points on the letter Z, Y, or X. Now on to the next level. You will be given a completely different set of letters from last time. I remember always spelling out sanitary on this part. Anyway, the monsters are more dangerous, so it is possible to die. Let me spell out. As you can see, with the Bow of Zix in my lower left corner, I am more powerful with spelling words with Z, Y, or X when I am making an attack. Well, looks like I leveled up. When you're leveled up, your character will be granted an extra heart. Not now, but later. After beating the second level, Lex and the Oracle, Cassandra, have a short conversation on how the enemies are bad and damage isn't good. Real helpful. We move on to the Wandering Rocks, a chapter that takes place on a ship where you fight aqua-related monsters. It introduces the stun effect, where upon receiving you will lose a turn. As usual, the bad guys are a little bit stronger, and when you finish the level, you are given the Poseidon Shield. So you click on the button and you are brought to your first game called Letter Rip, where you have to spell as many words as you can with the provided letters before the timer runs out. You move on to Isle of Circe, and you start up with a big jumbled abomination of letters. There are no vowels, so you are left with a scramble button. This mixes up your letters with random ones to refresh your options for words. But don't do it too much because each time you press the button, the enemy attacks. Okay, so we finished the Isle of Circe, but actually the boss is still alive, even though it clearly showed a tombstone, and she begs him to not attack her anymore for she will reveal him the way to biology class. I mean, the underworld. I always get the two mixed up. Anyway, here you get to choose your artifacts. Yeah, you really gotta look at what you should be prepared for and bring treasures that would help along with that. Eeny, meeny, miny. Alright, we're in hell. Doesn't look as bad as I thought it would be. By the way, here's a cool little feature. If you click on Lex, he makes different sounds. He starts by giggling thrice and then sneezing. After that, he giggles thrice once again, but after so, he burps a bubble outside of his mouth. So now I'm just spelling words. You know, I often find myself saving up for a big word by looking at my letters and think of what to spell with them. If I don't have quite all the letters for that word, I would use other letters for much shorter words just so I can get the necessary letters. I'm not sure if this is good or not, but it certainly gets me higher records for word length. It drives me up the wall when I'm gazing at a rather appealing set of letters looking for a great word, and someone behind me enthusiastically tells me I could spell grave. And now we have finished the 5th level and moved on to the 6th, but before we begin we are introduced to gem tiles. These are what makes the game complex here. No matter what letter it is, if a tile is encrusted with a gem, it has a special ability. I don't always know exactly what treasures to select considering I don't always have some that take care of every possible threat, so I'll just go with the Golden Fleece, Icarus Sandals, and Hepatitis Hammer. Now after beating the 6th chapter, we are introduced to a new minigame called Word Master. This has always been my favorite. You're given 5 slots, the first one is filled out, and you're supposed to guess the secret word. So now that I have my prizes, I'm ready to move on to the 7th level. It's rather special actually. It won't give you infinite time for you to make your move. If you take too long, you'll end up being attacked by the enemy. That's not a good thing for me, necessarily. Also, you won't regenerate your health after beating one, so you'll probably need more health potions than usual. Level 8 brings something called category words. Spelling a word from a specific category will damage the enemy more than usual.
You know, I think it's about time I talk about the production values of this game. I generally quite like the artistry. The characters have rather unique designs, and the monsters actually look really cool. The backgrounds aren't the most detailed ever, but they have a pretty cool style to it. The overall color scheme is really nice, and the character animation has a lot of energy to it. I mean, the monsters obviously look pretty Adobe flashy, but the movement on Lex is very good. I especially like the menu designs because they seem to be very detailed along with this very unusual style that end up making them look quite grand. As for the music, it has a very adventurous feel to it, with some melodies that are pretty well thought out. I give a proud clap to the work behind it. The level also adds immunity attributes to certain enemies where you won't actually be allowed to make 3-letter or 4-letter words. Again, really not good for me. After level 9, which introduced Life Leech, a power where your enemies take health from you, the third minigame is now available to play. It's called Lincoln Spell, where you have a collection of letters and you have to make as many of them gold as you can before time runs out. Now on to level 10, the final chapter of the map. It seems to have most of the attacks from all the other levels that you've already played, so naturally, this is pretty hard. Until you get to Medusa, the final boss of all the map. I defeated the last enemy! I'm going to get Cassandra back! There she is. No! So after that tragic little event, we are brought to the second book, Arabian Night, a map that takes place in a more of a desert setting. By the way, after finishing the first book, the Tome of Knowledge is available to examine. It shows every monster you fought so far. From then on, I'm just cruising along. I am spelling teen-long words and killing baddies without any second thoughts.
I love you.
There are some noticeable obstacles in Book 2. Like one of the chapters involves enemies that can be defeated by submitting the right word to their riddle. One where the enemies can actually steal your gems, which is just sadistic. And even one where you fight your alternate self. This game is fun. I'm never gonna hate it. I hate this game so much. I'm always given a set of random letters that I look at and spend a century trying to think of what to do with them. I spell words with such few amount of characters to save room for my monster-sized, over-the-top masterpieces. I just always have to find the perfect word. And sometimes I get so addicted to making accomplishments that I would even let myself die in order to keep trying to get it. If I didn't have so much OCD and the accomplishment of getting the runner-up for the spelling bee in 5th grade, I would have made it through this entire game without dying once. Anyway, what happens afterwards? Let's see. Lex finds out Codex and Cassandra are dead. He later finds out they're actually not. He reaches Dracula, the guy he came into this book for, and now he finds out that Codex was the villain the whole time. This isn't that much of a shock now, but when I got here for the first time in like 2007, it blew my mind! So just like the 7th level, defeating an enemy won't regain your health. You pass a bunch of previous bosses. Cerberus, Medusa, Shaitan, the Wolfman, and finally Codex. He is the most powerful boss in the game. What is he doing? And honestly made me almost die. Upon beating him, you have successfully defeated the last enemy in adventure mode. It wards Codex's pen as the treasure which allows to stun enemies. He threatens to kill you, and in your desperate state you spell out the longest word you can think of, hippopotomantro-sesquipedalian. Lex goes firing his laser and collects his pen, getting greeted by Cassandra, and thus ending adventure mode. That was awesome, truly. Spelling really long words was such a thrill, and the monsters were such a blast. The gameplay itself feels nothing like any game I've ever played. It is the first commercial game I've ever played, and it really is a great part of my childhood. After that, you get Arena, a version of gameplay where all the bosses from adventure mode come to fight you once again, and you have a limited amount of time before it is their turn. I never really beat this before, and I'm really trying to do to this day. Overly, this was a great game. You know, if I can spell so many words, I think I might be one of the best Bookworm Adventures players in the world. What? You beat it in an hour and 24 minutes? Oh, a challenge, huh? Well, let's see who the real record for the fastest completion for this game is.
Lane, stop!
Connor Ferris?
Don't try to beat his record. It's not as easy as it seems. You'll end up wasting your life.
Oh, please, I can get it done in no time. Aw, dang it.